What's up, you guys? Friendly Neighborhood Geek here, doing another 80s movie review. Also, get this out of the way real quick. Happy 2026. Hope you had a decent 2025. Hope you have a better 2026, however you want to say it. Yeah, I feel bummed I haven't uploaded in maybe like 2 weeks. Yeah, life has been a lot. Been busy and haven't really had the privacy or the time to really sit and record and watch movies and content the way I usually would. Um, and I also mentioned in a handful of videos that I'll have to make an update video. I'll be leaving uh, for training per se, for job training, so to speak. I'll be leaving for that in a couple of weeks. So of course, I won't be able to make content consistently on a weekly basis like I usually would. But I'll get into more of all that when I decide to do my update video. So with that being said, I might do a couple more, try to get in a couple more videos after this one, or there's a few game reviews I'd like to do, other content I like to talk about, other movies, all that stuff. So if I can, dope. If I can't, well, we'll just have to wait until I return. Um, but yeah, yes. So today we are looking at Shocking Dark, a movie I've never heard of, and I watched it a couple weeks ago. I discovered this through a YouTuber that I follow who talks about content similar to mine, and I said, "Hey, why not? Let me put my own spin on this, on my thoughts and opinions on this movie." So this was directed by Bruno Mattei, however you say his name. I think he's I forgot his ethnicity, but this movie was shot and filmed in another country. I forgot his like Italian, something like that, Italian French director, something like that. Um, yeah. So in other countries, this was titled Terminator 2. Yes, this was supposed to be, well, not supposed to be, but they were trying to make it seem like this was a sequel to Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, the first film. Um, and it's not. But there are different covers. I could have used the other cover. I chose not to. I chose to use this one that show like the antagonist, and he has like a robot eye and all that stuff. And I could see how that probably fooled a few people. And then they watched the movie like this has nothing to do with Terminator. Well, sort of, kind of. This movie mixes Terminator, takes inspiration from Terminator, takes inspiration from Aliens, and maybe another movie popular. I can't remember another popular movie. And they somehow make it work. Surprisingly, the cast. I didn't. Only person I recognized it was one gorgeous black actress who I've seen her before. She's done other things, and she was also in a movie called Demons, which had two movies, and those are really well beloved. I think like Italian horror films or something. I've seen both those movies. I might do a review on those in the future because those are pretty solid. So I was like, oh snap, that's the lady from Demons. Um, so I liked her in this movie. She was cool in this movie. Spoiler, she does well. I won't say that, but so yeah, the cast was solid. So what's the story of Shocking Dark essentially? We get like this opening credits sequence. Basically, I think this was shot in Venice or it takes place in Venice. I'm not sure. Um, Pollution has caused the planet to deteriorate, so to speak. And there were a group of scientists who were trying to do research um, and try to stop the pollution from happening. It was polluting our waters and other stuff was going on. Um, so then something happens to the team of scientists, and a crew of like soldiers are sent in to investigate and find out what happened. Kind of like in Aliens with the Marines. If you've seen it, I'm diehard Alien and Predator fan. So if you've seen Aliens, then you kind of have you know what I'm talking about. Um, yeah, and I like that is like where the laboratory is and where majority of the movie takes place. It's like they filmed in a basement or some shit, like in a factory or something. It was weird. It was weird, but it was fun. It was entertaining. It was like, okay, we just gonna enjoy the ride while it lasts. Um, so, stuff happens, dialogue, a lot of running around, a lot of shooting, a lot of you see some of the creatures behind me, or you see a creature behind me, which was cool. The creature effects were solid, and like, oh, yeah, it was cool. It was cool when the creature showed up, and I like that aspect. So you're probably wondering, well, where does the Terminator aspect come in? That kind of comes in at the end, like a scientist created some type of mechanical virus or something, and one of the people gets infected or some shit, and he kind of becomes like a Terminator. Maybe it's I'm trying to explain it the best way I can. Maybe if you choose to watch it, you might be able to figure it out a little bit better. Things just happen, and at the end, kind of a spoiler, we do get like a time travel sequence, and our last surviving characters go to the past so they can prevent the pollution situation from happening. And our Terminator antagonist follows them to the past, and yeah, we had a good finale, but it was just weird. It was weird. Um, but yeah, Shocking Dark. It exists. I've done some other videos on knockoffs, I think, of Alien. There's Creature. There's Galaxy of Terror, which is a really fun one. That one has Robert Englund, aka Freddy Krueger, in that film. Um, that's a good one. Like I said, there's even a anime which I love. I watch it like periodically. I watch this anime all the time called Lily Cat, which I've talked about. And Lily Cat takes inspiration from Alien, about people on a ship and alien creature entity gets on board, and shit happens. Um, there was another one. I think I did a video. I think I did a video on about people like on a space, like on a planet, like a research station on a planet, and a officer sent there to investigate or help them out or something, and alien. Some alien shit happens. That's a good one. I enjoyed that one. Forbidden. Maybe it was called Forbidden. Not Forbidden Planet. I forgot. Maybe I can't remember. Something Planet. Um, that was a good one. So there's a lot, as you can see. Knockoff movies have existed since like the 80s, essentially. So how does Shocking Dark stack up? Like I said, it's fun for what it is. It's just B movie fun. I love B movies. I find them to be very bingeable, very entertaining. So I liked it for what it was. It might not be your cup of tea. That's cool. There's plenty of variety of movies to watch. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I'd watch it again. Yeah, this deserved. I would, deserve a rewatch. Um, they even have a little girl. Again, if you've seen Aliens, they even have a little girl who's like a survivor. They find her. She accompanies the group for the rest of the film. Which again, we had a little girl character of Newt in Aliens, so you're seeing a lot of comparisons here. Um, but yeah, I think it's on Tubi. It's also on YouTube. That's how I watched it. So check it out. Like I said, I might try to do a couple more videos the next week or so. If not, I'll just do my update video, all that stuff, talking about the future of the page and a little bit of why I'm taking, I guess, a leave of absence. I guess is that the best word to use? Leave of absence or terminology. Um, but yeah, like I said, stay tuned for more. Like, comment, share, follow, all that good stuff. Um, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace, you guys. What's up, you guys? Friendly Neighborhood Geek here, doing another, I would call this short film movie review, short film review. This time on 10,000 Demons from Joe Laudati, however you say his last name. Sounds Italian. I wonder if he's Italian. It says a novel, so I don't know. I don't know if this he ended up writing a book about this or not. But yes, this is a really cool short film that was made around 84, 85. Apparently, Joe did this as like a college thesis or something similar to that, something along those lines. Um, and this is like a love letter slash tribute to like the old school stop motion films, like I mentioned in my Valley of Guanji video. Um, like Ray Harryhausen, the type of movies he did and the type of creatures he created, his stop motion puppets, stuff like that. And we see some references, like some replicas, like in Joe's bedroom on his shelf. We see like he made some replicas to some of those creatures that Ray Harryhausen originally created, which was really cool and charming. Um, so yeah, you're probably wondering if this is a stop motion film. What is it about? Also, this is on YouTube. I just randomly discovered this. This is on Joe's YouTube channel. So you can just type in 10,000 Demons on YouTube and you'll probably most likely find the video. Um, well, it's kind of interesting. And I think a lot of people can kind of relate to this situation. Um, so, like I said, what's the story about? So it's about Joe. I'm not sure if he has a different name in the short film or not, but his parents got divorced. And he's really been kind of affected by that. His older sister is going to college soon. In a couple of years, he'll be going to college. So it's just him, his sister, and his mom. His mom starts dating a new person who's a teacher and is actually a really, genuine, solid person. And Joe is not really fond of him in the beginning. He's not really feeling this whole thing, and he misses how things used to be. He misses when his parents were together and they were, a traditional family unit. Um, so he's kind of being a teenager, kind of angry, kind of you know just having all these feelings and emotions. And the stop motion film that he's creating about this demon, which in the short film is called a banshee, which is nothing. This creature looks nothing like a traditional banshee from I think Irish folklore. Um, but he's kind of what's the word I want to use? Like he's not manifesting, but he's relieving his I guess his frustration, his anger through his film that we see him continuously working on. Which is just a little short film of the creature moving around, and towards the end of the film, we see the creature fight a dragon, which is really cool, really cool. Um, like I'll give an example. Like for me, uh, my whole life I was an only child. Um, up until so for 10 years I was an only child up until I can't remember, like my sibling was born in like 2016, 2015, somewhere around that time. um and yeah, it was weird and it was an adjustment because at one point in time it was just me and my mom, and then it became me, my mom, my dad, and then now um I have a sibling. It was, yeah, it was weird. It was weird because I wasn't used to that, and our whole family dynamic had changed and shifted to an extent. Um, so I really didn't like have an interest in my sibling when they first got here. But over time, of course, I grew to appreciate them and enjoy having them around. And like, hey, being an older sibling isn't bad. Like, I can get used to this type of thing. So yeah, even, like I said, I just kind of use that my experience as an example. But of course, I'm sure there's other people I have relatives whose parents divorced, or maybe I knew people in school whose parents who may have lost a parent passed away from illness or whatever. So I can only imagine what those experiences were like for someone. So like I said, that's why I can see um, Joe's situation is something every young person could relate to. Or even, like I said, even if you're older and this was something you experienced when you were young. And I really like that. I really like this is a situation anyone can kind of relate to a degree. Um, so we only see a handful of characters, which I actually like. We see his sister, we see his friend, we see his mom's boyfriend who is a teacher, and we see his mom. And of course, they mention his dad a couple times. And I really like that. And if you want to count the banshee, the demon, as a character in itself, um, and like I said, the music is good. Kind of has an eerie tone to it, which I really like. I really do. I like the vibe. I like the aesthetic of the short film. It has a lot of charm to it. I like the characters. The acting is solid. The camera shots and angles. It doesn't look amateur. It looks like, yeah, like this is really well made, especially for the '80s. Um, and like I said, the sequences with the demon is really charming and cool. And seeing Joe in his room with his computer, I know it was a computer with his camera, and he has his own sets and everything, are really cool. Um, I really like it. I really do. And I think I've mentioned before. So before I started making content on TikTok, I had a YouTube channel for like 10 years. And I made like 1,000, a little over 1,000 subscribers last year, which I was like, yeah, that's cool. So when I first started YouTube, I was making stop motion films, and they were like, I was like in middle school, so they were like these little amateur films. But I grew up with stop motion. I grew up watching like Wallace and Gromit, James and the Giant Peach. Um, I could be missing some, like there's claymation. Also, I apologize if there's noise in the background. I'll try to talk over that. Um, so I grew, like I always loved stop motion animation. Always been fascinated with it. Reading about it. So like I said, for me, it was so much fun to start making my own. I made a lot, and they were some were kind of worth watching, some were not as worth watching. I think last year and maybe a little bit of 2024, I kind of got a little back into it, just kind of practicing. I was a little bit more experienced at that point, and I was older and had better, materials and stuff and software. So my animations were a little bit better. They were a little bit stronger than when I was younger, and I would like to do more. I would like to, when I have the free time. 'Cause that's another thing about stop motion animation. It's very long process, especially if it's just you doing everything. It feels like even more on you, or even more of a process compared to like a studio who has a team of animators simultaneously working, on the stop motion film. Um, but yeah, this was just so cool. This was so cool. And like I said, me being a stop motion enthusiast, I appreciate it for what it was, and I like the story centered around our main character and his home life. But it was good. It was, like I would kind of put this in the same category as Lego The Magic Portal, because that's a stop motion, but that focuses solely on, little Lego people. But I kind of that was made in the '80s. The Magic Portal was made in the '80s, so I kind of put these in the same category. Like they're two very different type of stop motion films, but they were made around the same time and have the same type of aesthetic to them. So I also did a video a couple years ago on the Magic Portal, really charming Lego or brick or in the brick Lego community, very solid brick film. Um, but yeah, but yeah. Like I said, next video, maybe a game review. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe another movie review. There was one movie I saw, I think last month. I kind of just had it on, honestly, so I don't know if I'll bother to talk about that one. We'll see. Um, but like I said, I have to make an update video. But yeah, like, comment, share. Stay tuned for more. Follow, all that good stuff. Yeah. Peace, you guys.